Hello, my name is Travis Newbell. I live and work here at Shambhala Mountain Center, and I'm here today with Cynthia Moku, who is a wonderful artist who has an exhibit that's just recently opened just down the Front Range in Boulder at Naropa. The name of the exhibit is Pilgrimage, a Dakini Map, and the description that it's a pilgrim's journey honoring sacred architecture and geography along the spine of all Rocky Mountains. Cynthia, I'll say a little bit about her. She's an accomplished artist in Japanese brushwork and Buddhist scroll painting. She's a student of Kyabje, I'm going to mess up this name, Kyabje Kalu Rinpoche, and she continues her meditation training with Sakyong Mipam Rinpoche, who is the lead teacher in the Shambhala Buddhist tradition. Cynthia is the founder of Naropa University's Visual Arts degree program, and her contemporary work resides in private collections in USA, Europe, and Asia, and the Denver Art Museum holds one of her traditional works in its permanent collection. Cynthia, thank you so much for joining today for some discussion.
Thank you, it's my pleasure.
So your this latest exhibit is showing work that spans about 16 years. And what else could you, and I know that it's inspired by your engagement with various stupas. Is that all right? Right,
yeah. So, you'd like me to say a bit about it. So this exhibit is, I paint in what I call two streams. And I feel my work is really, or I sit at the confluence of that. One stream is the traditional work that, particularly in Shambhala and in the Buddhist community, many people know me for, the traditional Thangka paintings. And the other is contemporary work. And this exhibit is what I call part of my contemporary work. And I haven't exhibited this kind of work for quite some time. So it's at Naropa University in Nalanda Arts Gallery. What it, when you say 16 years, it spans a range of 16 years. It's probably a little more than that, but I started with the Santa Fe stupa, painting the murals for the interiors of these public stupas. And that was a very traditional, of course, aspect of work. But along with my work there and being part of the construction crew and so on and so forth at these stupas, I started to do what I call stupa portraits, make paintings of these stupas at different times of the year when I was there. And so this exhibit includes portraits from the Rocky Mountain Shambhala Center, the Shambhala Mountain Center stupa, the Great Stupa of Dharmakaya. There are portraits from the Creststone stupa of Karmapa and the Santa Fe stupa, Kala Rinpoche's. And yeah, if you want to, that's part of it. There's also a Dakini map, and this is what's bringing a great deal of interest to people. The Dakini map is an 8-foot by 4-foot painting on U.S. Geological Survey maps. And by the way, I checked with them to be sure that I could paint on these things. They're not copyrighted, they're actually public domain. So I was really thrilled because in my work on these stupas and my travels, particularly back and forth from Boulder to northern New Mexico, I began to have a sense that these stupas, the way they are aligned in the United States, and these are the 3 and 4 big ones of our country, might coincide with the proportions of the Buddha figure. Actually, the geography would. And so the map is about that and shows how the stupas are located in different chakras of the Dakini's form.
When did this occur to you?
Yeah. First, I'd like to say, if people are interested to go to the exhibit, it's really actually been a fun and a very, in my terms, a successful exhibit. A lot of people have come. It's up until April 25th. So this occurred over a period of time, and for about 10 or 12 years, I was given a studio in northern New Mexico in the at the foot of the mountains, and I was traveling back and forth from Boulder to that place a lot. And I would take the route that took me over the mountains at Kenosha Pass and through past Crestone and so forth into New Mexico. And it was during those travels where I got to know the land. I was often traveling alone. The beauty, the absolute beauty of that route is incredible. And I did, in my way as I do, I would listen to teachings, or I would sing prayers as I went along. I used it as an opportunity to both observe and practice in that way. And that's how it started to click. Like there was something very, very sacred happening.
So that's a very mysterious element to the show and to your this relationship with these stupas. Like you're revealing something about them. Can you talk about what just how stupas in particular may be, inspiring, and why you've been drawn to work with them?
Right. Well, the stupas are actually, and the exhibit shows this too, because I also have medallions. I call them medallions, but they're round canvas paintings in this exhibit. Stupas were built in a way that coincides with the figure and the proper proportions. This is very important. The tikse, it's called in Tibetan, of the Buddha figure. And as we know, there's a lot of symbolism in these architectural forms, these architectural temples, as they are referred to in some countries. And the symbolism is actually expressing expressing deep collective truths that are inherent and embodied, or imbued, I should say, for all of us. Right? So like the steps on the stupa, the 4 steps that go from the base up to where the round part of the stupa is, those are the 4 immeasurables. They represent loving kindness, and so on, compassion. So these, sometimes symbolism might seem as something that's sort of separate from reality, or something that can be tagged on, and if you get to know it or memorize it, then you know what this represents and that. But actually, it's a very, very fundamental part of our existence. So that was becoming, that was opening up for me, and I had the knowledge from study as a practitioner and from being a Thangka painter, or painting images of the Buddhas. I had that knowledge, but in this particular travel that I was doing regularly, it became very, very apparent, more on a cellular level, I guess you could say.
That there's something going on with these stupas.
Yeah. So Travis, it was right on when you said mysterious. Absolutely. It is the mystery that is there before us every time we stand in front of a stupa.
And it's interesting that you seem to be working with stupas on 2 perhaps distinct levels, and one is working on the stupas themselves as part of the construction and the building of those stupas, with offering paintings and murals within the actual structure itself. And then from the outside, sort of painting your own maybe like reflection or expression of those particular stupas. And I wonder what you may say about the differences in process or feeling or inspiration working in those two different ways.
Right, right. Well, they're not different, but they are. You're right. You know, on a certain level, they are different. But actually, for me, I have to admit, um, this kind of mystery, of this kind of um, revealing of truth, the Dharma, has always been my muse. It is my muse. There's no doubt about it. So I think because of all the time I spent, you know, 15, 16 summers at stupas, and with my children at times, you know, they're often spending summers there, that actual physical drawing, putting things up on the walls, designing, talking with, you know, other artists, bringing in other people, watching the crew build these structures, being all part of that brings forth then the mystery for me and the magic about them in a way that I could never have made up, you know, or conceived of ahead of time. And so people go to see this exhibit, and by the way, I am working on a website, a totally new website, which will begin to show my contemporary work. About time. I'm excited and nervous about it. But at any rate, I hope to have that up by the summer, and then this will be on the website. But you'll see that the portraits of the stupas, they're very simple. They are the stupas. Parts of the stupas, sometimes more parts. And they're me looking at them in different weather and different angles. And because I was so fortunate to be part of the crew in these stupas, I was able to climb all over these structures. So, like for instance, one view of a stupa portrait shows as if you were at near the very top of the spire, looking down. And so you see the part of the rings, and your view looks down to the ground where there's a Mahakala dancer offering, you know, to the stupa at the point of consecration. And for some of the stupas, particularly the Santa Fe stupa, and a stupa that I worked on in India for Kala Rinpoche, that's what I saw. There were Mahakala dancers who came, you know, and made offerings and gathered all the energy and so forth. So they're fun. They're provocative.
And definitely inspiring curiosity.
Yes, you should see the exhibit.
So let's see. You'll be coming up here. I'm with Cynthia Moku once again, who has just presented an exhibit, an ongoing exhibit, which will run through April 25th at Naropa. Pilgrimage, a Dakini map, which has a lot to do with her interaction with stupas and working with stupas over the years. And we have a big Great Stupa here at Shambhala Mountain Center, and also Cynthia will be coming up here to co-lead 2 programs in the month of May. She'll be leading Touching the Moment, Indelible Presence, as well as Taming the Wild Horse, Riding the Energy of Emotions. And she'll be co-leading those programs with Acharya Dale as well. So I wonder what you may like to say about these programs.
Okay. Well, Acharya Azrael, Dale and I have been doing these together, it seems now like 13 years. We were even surprised at Shambhala Mountain Center.
I like that.
And they're in May. The 14th, the second one ends on the 20th.
We don't have the music here.
Well, there are 2 retreats that have a little bit of a break in between, a pause, so people can do both of the retreats or one or the other. And Dale is the lead teacher. what I bring into it, we call or I've named indelible presence, and it's we work with the brush.
Yeah.
Now we do this within the context of a retreat,
That
a retreat container
Mm.
that
it goes within.
is quite strong and supportive for the people that participate.
Right, and then it goes in.
So to tell you a little bit,
And so it's cut right there.
this work, I think I could, the title, Indelible Presence,
More of a
play on words, of course, because indelible, we think of ink. Ink, you know, that can't be washed away. So it has a quality of being indestructible or permanent, unconquerable. And it's like the diamond. It's referring to the diamond quality. What occurs in these programs is really dependent a lot upon how the retreats unfold for everyone, the experiences they have. And what I do, we work in the pavilion, which of course you're familiar with. It's a beautiful little building that I was fortunate to teach in when the Masters of Education program was being held in the summers at Shambhala Mountain Center from Naropa University. So I set the pavilion up in a way that's really quite traditional in a Japanese sense for us to do brush practice. But we're not doing calligraphy. We are not doing ashe practice, of course. We are not doing learning about ideograms. But what people do experience in this program, in this kind of work, the indelible presence work, is really the very essence of brush. And are very subtle, often, assumptions that making a stroke with brush and ink is somehow different than any moment of being attentive to our mind, its experience. Now, ideally, we know that's not what brush practice is, but we have that overlay, and we approach brush in ways that it might be something a little separate from actually being awake to the nature of mind. So we do very, very beautiful and spontaneous things in that retreat. We have periods that are always, every day, quite structured, and then we have periods that are, like I said, more almost like performance art in the environment. So we go out a lot with the brush. And I hesitate, actually, or I haven't for a long time said anything about this work. It's important that people come to it as open as they can. But, for instance, this was in the catalog last year, so I would like to share it.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe that's enough. Last year in May, and this happens often, as you mentioned, there's wildflowers. The land is starting to really respond to spring and the cycle of summer coming. But we still have snow. Mm-hmm. Suddenly, snow can come. And one evening in our retreat, in the middle of our retreat, we knew that snow was coming that night. Mm-hmm. So we laid down a long, long roll of paper on the ground, and then I let the snow cover it. And all night, snow was coming on it. The next morning, while people were practicing, before our brush session, I removed the snow lightly, and then they came, and with a big body brush that I have, about 5 horse tails all put together, we did a continuous stroke together on this beautiful paper that was just really lightly moistened by little flecks of snow because it stayed warm inside the snow too. And it was remarkable. And the stroke stayed with us for the rest of the days. And then it morphed into another form when we did our final offering and dedication.
Sounds like a really beautiful and engaging weekend, for sure.
It is, and I'm glad to hear you'll be interviewing Acharya Dale, because then people will get a really clear taste of the complement, the brushstroke being the complement to what she holds in this retreat.
Well, I'll be looking forward to speaking with her about it, and we'll all really be looking forward to hosting you and Acharya Azrael and all of the participants who come up and join for these weekends.
Thank you.
And so thank you again for joining me here to talk about it a little bit.
Thank you, Travis. It's been fun. It's been really nice. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. You as well. And thanks to everybody for tuning in. And we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.
Bye.